Shalom, shalom, and boker tov to everyone. This morning we're continuing with our series of studies of the letters for the ages. We're in chapter 27, and we're continuing. And of course, this series is being dedicated to my three sons, Mary David, Joshua, and David Joseph. Cast external matters from your mind when you stand to pray. Carefully prepare your heart in the presence of the Holy One. The Ramban's concept is codified by the Ramban in Shulchan Aruch, or Chaim 98:1. Before one begins to pray, let him meditate upon the loftiness of man. Let him also pluck from his heart his yearning for mundane pleasures of the world. It is prohibited even for a father to kiss his children in the synagogue. He must establish in his heart that there is no love comparable to the love of the Almighty God. The request of nature of prayer. And this is a question that arises: how can Ramban encourage his son to cast worldly matters from your mind when you stand to pray, when the very nature of prayer is the request of God to grant us blessings of this world, health, prosperity, freedom, and success? We find an answer in the carefully chosen words of the Ramah quoted above. In prayer, let him pluck from his heart his yearning for the mundane pleasures of this world. Certainly we pray for the bounty of this world, but we strive to elevate our request above the mundane, and we ask God to make the resources of this world available to us so that we can utilize them as tools to serve Him properly and in peace of mind. Rabbi Chaim Volotskin in Nefesh Chaim Sha'ar 2 demonstrates that the true purpose of prayer is to increase God's sovereignty over this world. And we ask for the blessing from His hand so that God's influence should permeate the world with greater intensity. In genuine prayer, the supplicant learns how to use the world as a springboard to prepare himself heavenward to new spiritual heights. We are your creation. The Ramban himself, in his commentary in the Torah, or to the Torah of Exodus chapter 13, verse 12, offers a soul-stirring description of the purpose of prayer. The intent of all commandments is that we acquire a firm belief in God and proclaim Him as the one who has created us. This is in fact the very purpose of creation, for there is no other motive known to us. The Supreme Being asks of man only that he come to know Him and testify that He is the Creator. The prayer we recite, the synagogue we build, the convocations we hold, are all designed to give outward expression to our inner conviction that He is our Creator. We assemble in the house of prayer and cry out, "We are your creations." Kavanah, our direction, our intention in prayer. The Talmud in Berachot 31a teaches that he who prays must direct his heart to heaven. Prayer is a pathway to God. And when following a path, kavanah, direction, or intention, is everything. Prayer without proper intention and direction is like the body without a soul. The essence of direction is to know one's destination, where you're going. When Rabbi Eliezer was on his sickbed, his disciples came to visit him and asked, "Our Master, teach us the pathway of life so that we may reach the world to come." Rabbi Eliezer said, "When you stand in prayer, know before whom you are praying. Thus you will merit the world to come." That's in Berachot 28b. The moment of prayer. Man is not alone. Prayer is a moment of transformation. Before he speaks to God, man is alone and frightened, weak and torn by worries and which threatens to overwhelm him. When the moment of prayer arrives, man stands that he has a caring, sympathetic ear to talk to. He turns to his loving Father in heaven and admits frailty. He allows the weighty burdens to slip off his shoulders in the realization that he is not alone. Cast upon the Lord your burden, and He will sustain you. He will never allow the righteous to falter. King David reminds us in Psalms 55, verse 23. Harav Yehezkiel Levenstein writes in his work on Emunah, faith, pages 182 and 183, that one should stand in prayer like a beggar, standing at the door with an outstretched hand. and outstretched palms. The supplicant must fill himself with that awareness that his existence is entirely dependent upon God. When one elevates himself to this level of humility, then his life, his sustenance becomes truly independent of the hand of man and direct gift of the Almighty. Technology, the illusion of power. A man has strengthened his technology, his technological hold on the world, and nature has finally lost some of its stranglehold of his life. We can have the lights to wash away the night, the central air conditioning to make the sun outside go away, and the planes with which to escape the harshest of winters. We seem to have reached the pinnacles of technological success, and yet are we yet sovereign of our destiny? No. Man has never really conquered nature. Pitted against the backdrop of the starry cosmos, he still trembles at the grandeur of his Creator. Nonetheless, on a daily level, modern man finds it difficult to sense his helplessness. Ultimately, this can be his greatest stumbling block in the pathway to a genuine and meaningful prayer. In overcoming this block, one must learn what the Ramban's previous lesson in humility before he can properly approach prayer. Altering destiny is altering oneself. Rabbi Joseph Albo, those of you who have been studying the work of Rabbi Albo in our series that we also have on this page called Sefer HaIkarim, in chapter 4, verse 18, he asks, how does a mortal dare to approach the Almighty in prayer to ask Him to change His decrees? So God certainly knows what is best for man. How can we have the audacity to request a change of the divine design of events? He answers that one who prays properly undergoes a literal process of transformation. As he says, and thus, im teshuvatene lehachna tishtanem hagazera. When one's character changes, when the divine decree against him changes accordingly. Chovos HaLevavot in Sha'ar Cheshbon, Chanefesh chapter 3, section 9 gives us detailed instruction how to prepare for prayer. One must disengage himself from this world and free his mind of any thought which will distract his attention from prayer. One should seriously take to heart that he stands before his Maker and should carefully choose both the words and the themes he intends to contemplate. Understand this well. The words of prayer enunciated by the mouth are merely the shell. The heart's meditation upon these words is the inner kernel. Words are like the body of a prayer, while the meditation is the soul. One who prays only with his tongue, while his mind wanders, resembles an empty body, a husk devoid of a kernel. Such a person is compared to a servant whose master had just returned home from a journey, and the servant sent his children to greet the master, while he himself ignored the master's presence. The master was infuriated by this wanton disrespect. Similarly, if the heart sends the body and mouth to greet the Almighty in prayer, if the heart itself turns its attention elsewhere, God will surely be displeased. And he concludes, my dear brothers, it's only proper that you realize that what prayer really is. It is nothing less than the passionate yearning of the soul for God and its utter surrender before Him. And this concludes chapter 27 of the Letters for the Ages. We will be looking at chapter 28 in our next video. Shalom, shalom.